Africa.
Okay. Okay.
And we share the video at the end of the interview.
Okay. So Agile in Africa. Let me just get the dates right.
I share the flyer with you.
Yes, you did.
Where are you, Loiusa?
I'm in London.
Oh, give him my love. How is it?
The weather is starting to change, so it's starting to get a little bit chilly for my African.
Okay.
But if not, it's actually okay. I'm not sure we know how to handle COVID, but hey, we're still alive.
Change comes a little harder.
Yeah. So we're almost good to go. We've got about 3 minutes. So I don't know, Lesanne, if they, since they shared the questions with you, I just have a few questions. I'm going to start off asking about yourself and then your amazing topic you did at the conference. I love the topic, by the way. And then I think that's it really. We're meant to be talking for approximately 30 minutes. And then we should give our audience a little bit of time to ask a few questions. And that's it really. Is there anything else? And then I think towards the end, I'll just ask you for like contact details and the like, so that if you don't mind, of course, so that if in case someone wants to reach out to you or the like, then.
Absolutely. Thank you. Should I put that in the chat or just say it out?
Say it out, but also put it in the chat so that,
okay,
because people may forget, but then if the link is there or something, they can just click on it. And when we also have it on, because I believe it's going to come up on YouTube somewhere on the academic channel as well. So
excellent.
Say as well. Right. Yeah. Awesome. Akaditi guys, we have 1 minute. I think we're almost good to go. Geez, 1 minute seems so long. Okay. It's 3 o'clock. I think we're ready to rock. Yep. Okay, guys, I think we should start. I'm not the host. Akaditi, guys, are you ready to record? Recording. Super. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of our Agility TV. This is our second edition, and it's going to be really exciting. We're happy to have you here. For those that wanted to know about the first edition, we already have that on YouTube, which was really amazing, with our PO Nana Bambara Aban himself, who's always larger than life. But today we also have an amazing, amazing lady with us, all the way from South Africa, I believe you are, Lesanne, at the moment.
I am, yes, the very bottom, the tip of Africa.
Which is always amazing. For me, it's always amazing when I see another woman, another sister from the continent who's doing this amazing thing we call Agile. Because, you know, for us Agile people, I spoke to someone last week and the person actually said, why is it that all you Agile people, you're always happy, you're always excited? I said, well, that's the
we
way
know how to go with the flow.
Yes, you know. So we've got Lesanne Brooke.
Yeah, Brooke. Just say Lesanne Brooke is probably.
Lesanne Brooke with us. She's a transformation leadership coach, facilitator, and mentor all the way in South Africa. Welcome, Lesanne, to our show today. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you here today.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. So, you know, the thing is, being a Scrum Master at heart, I always like people to tell me about themselves as opposed to me reading some biography somewhere. So do tell us, who's Lesanne?
A crazy woman? No, yes, and I'm passionate about change. I'm passionate about diversity, and I really, really am inspired by the idea of, I feel like we're in changing times. And that there is an amazing amount of positive change that can be created. And I'm just really passionate about inspiring people to optimize their impact and to be able to make a difference in a way that is meaningful. So I have been involved with people all my life. I have immersed myself in different cultures because I'm fascinated about why people behave the way they do and who we are as a diverse group of beings on this planet. And I'm very motivated to inspire impact that is positive and accountable and ethical and effective and successful. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot more, but I don't think you want to sit through the whole lot.
Well, it's always exciting when you hear someone says that they're interested in people and culture. So how did you start this journey of being a coach, being all interested in this? Was it always the case, or did you, like myself, just drop into it one day? How did you start?
It definitely emerged as an experiential process for me. So I loved traveling. I traveled a lot, and I was never a tourist. I would go and spend time. I loved to be in places where people thought completely differently from me and ate differently and behaved differently. And I actually ran a multicultural team in London for a while where people from all over the world were working. And I'm always interested in how we are as humans. And went through working in talent and started to work with dialogue almost 20 years ago. They'll be 21 years old next year. So they've been around a long time, and their focus has always been people.
Right.
And I was working as a facilitator in organizational transformation and in culture vitalization and creating future fit teams and communication dynamics. And I was there would be a level where you could make profound change, and then there would be a block.
Yeah.
And I was always looking for ways to push through those blocks. And it took me deeper and deeper into both what makes people behave in certain ways, why do teams work the way they do, and it also made me want to move higher and higher up in organizations because you always felt like there was this glass ceiling. And now I work at executive development level, and I find that people, it doesn't matter what your level is, it doesn't matter where you are. We're all trying to find ways to make change that we can be aligned with and that can help us to feel empowered in what we're doing and can help us feel like there is some sort of relevance to how we spend our days and our time. So my practice deepened in that. And then because naturally I came to things like design thinking, systems thinking, I don't know which came first. I worked a lot with organizations like IT and engineering organizations. I work in different sectors across the board. And there was a lot of change happening, particularly with those organizations, particularly IT. And it was very obvious for me that you can't have highly developed technical systems if you don't have humans with a mindset to match.
Right.
And so I started to use this language like, we need to be more agile. We need to find ways to communicate. We need to converge in the way we're thinking, et cetera, et cetera. And somehow it all grew together, and Agile became the language, and design thinking, the kinds of processes, and system thinking. And so there became a more formalized way of doing what for me had just felt like an experiential problem solving, passionate journey. And so now it's got the labels for me of Agile certified, master coach, et cetera. But for me, it was my personal journey to make more impact and to help people make a bigger difference and not always be stopped where they are, help them break through those obstacles that stop what they're dreaming of and stop them from creating what they really want to have happen in their organizations.
Wow. That is amazing. And you know, one thing that struck a chord is that ceiling, you know, because you know, it's almost like when you work at the shop floor level and middle management and everything, it's fine. But then you look at the top and you realize there's this block, you know, you can't really penetrate and go further. So well done for doing that. Because for me, that's one of the things I found really frustrating. To be honest, for me, that has moved me now to go do found an executive MBA. I've just started that journey. I think I'm a bit
That's
crazy.
exciting.
I think I'm a
Well, you
bit
have to be
crazy.
crazy to be working like this.
Yes, yes.
It's
So,
part of
so
the good bit. That's part of being excited. You know, that's part of it.
yes, and I was so I feel blessed to have found a course that deals with innovation and agile business, because
Mm.
you notice when you work with a lot of organizations that at the top they just feel like if they said, okay, everyone is going agile and they fold their hands, that's it. They don't realize that they have a role to play. So
But you see, that's, I think, why I wanted to go so deeply into the whys of people, because there's a very big difference between a change label and a change practice.
yes.
And that mindset is not something that comes naturally to us, particularly not if you're schooled in traditional business
Mm,
logic and you're responsible for a huge organization with a lot of stakeholders. And
mhm,
I would find more and more, even right up at the top levels, people would say, I believe in this. This is what I want to do, but I can't do this at work because I'm the only one that does that.
right.
And then as I started to get involved with teams of leaders, then there would be this thing, well, I'd say, but you all feel the same and none of you are doing it. You're not talking about it, because I would be coaching them individually. And
Mhm,
then you come to the boardroom table and no one, you know, you just go, it's business as usual.
yeah.
And that's when I started to really see that we needed mindset shifts. And
Mhm,
that, for me, that's my drive, is I want to help people make those shifts in practice that match the shifts they're trying to make in their mindset.
right.
Because it's not just about trying the pretty tools. If you use the tools with the same mindset,
Mhm,
you you're not going to get the change. And then you say, well, agile doesn't work, or
mhm,
scrum doesn't work, or
mhm,
change doesn't work, you know. um, and I like when you say you're studying, when you can find the business language that makes sense to the business mind,
yes.
and then see the value of using these kinds of practices in business. That's when it starts to merge. And I think that's what we need more support with, because some people feel it as being out there. It's the IT department.
Mhm,
Up until February this year, everybody was telling me, yeah, we're prepared for disruption. Yeah, we're future fit. Our IT department's on it. And I'm saying, disruption's not just from the IT, for the IT people. And that mindset, suddenly, I remember being in a group, it was actually in Ghana, with a group of business leaders, and COVID had just started, and here in Africa. And I started to talk about disruption. And usually people go, yeah, yeah, VUCA world, yeah, yeah. And, you know, we sort of talk about it theoretically, but the room went silent. And I suddenly felt, okay, this is it. It just got real. Suddenly, these people could feel, yes, how are we going to take our petroleum company through this? How are we going to deal with the fact that none of our workers are digitally savvy? How, you know, it suddenly became very, very real.
mhm,
And I
mhm,
think that's now the opportunity that agile practices have. We need different ways. It's not business as usual. It's not the way it used to be. We don't know how to use the same old systems anymore. So we need to have a more fluid way of working. And then that kind of open mindset is very hard and very scary when you are in charge of an enormous amount of people and business and money.
yeah.
So that's why I like to support that level of
Wow. That
scariness.
what you said is so powerful. One of the things that really came, you know, when you said that, talking, having the business language to talk to them, I almost had to really constrain myself not to dance, because that was like the main reason why I went. And you know, talking of here and now, we're now, people used to sweep all this transformation, digitization under the carpet, and now it's in our faces. We have
Mm.
to deal with it. So it's really amazing to hear you talk about that, especially in Africa, because it's interesting. You know how people think that in Africa it's different, and
Mhm.
in Africa, you know, it's like almost like what happens in the West is totally different from what happens in our part of the world.
Mhm.
I always beg to differ, because I believe change is change, irrespective of wherever you go. People still fight change. So it's really good to hear when you say that they're also looking at it, they're also dealing with it, because I'm sure there are a lot of companies here as well who have really had a hard time moving 100% remote and having to work that way. But it's interesting to see that we're all coping.
Well, Loiusa, you hit on something so true for me there. And that is, I mean, as a Euro-African, I feel that Africa actually has a lot of the solutions that the world needs right now.
Amen.
Because on the continent, we have dealt with change and disruption and having to be very agile and very adapted, having to use what we have in different ways. And we don't sort of, when you go to, you're sitting in London, you have, business has been there. It's like the seat of old colonial ways of doing things. And it's very hard to just radically shift things. Whereas when you're living in a village in Africa, you're constantly having to do that. Even if I'm living in a big city in Africa, I'm sitting in Cape Town, we have to deal with our electricity goes off suddenly or whatever, and you've got long hours of load shedding. We're just very used to change and adaptation. I'm not saying that we don't kick and scream about it. I think humans are naturally concerned about change. But I think that there is so much innovation in Africa. I think there is such a wealth of business wisdom that needs to come out of this continent and be treated with more respect, because I think we have the solutions that Europe and Africa don't necessarily have yet, because they've never had to be challenged in that way. And I remember thinking it was when Brexit hit, and I was coaching people in London at the time, and I thought, oh, you haven't really dealt with change before that much. For us in business here, it's very different. I think people are very used to it in a different way.
That is amazing. I love that. Because I also feel like changes in our DNA, because we have to do, we have to do it all the time, that we almost take it for granted. Because whatever comes our way, we just deal with it. We handle it with a smile as well. So I like the fact that you're saying that. But I think I'm gonna come to your talk you had in Agile in South Africa. Also, I'll get sidetracked on the topic for
so. We'll just talk and talk.
Yes. So rebel leadership.
Rebel leadership.
Someone called me once a scientific rebel, which I thought was quite cool.
I think that's super cool. I love it. Now I want to know more about the scientific bit too.
I'm not sure why they say that, but I've heard that. And so I saw it, rebel leadership. Wow, that's an amazing topic. And for me, it's even amazing that you could use that topic as a heading, because, sometimes you have to be careful how you say it, and you have to sugarcoat it and everything. So coming with such a bold topic, how did you come about such a topic? Let's talk about rebel leadership. I want to hear more.
Okay, well, it's definitely one of my passions, and it again emerged out of working with these people with big passionate ideas and strong life forces that are wanting to make a difference, that are wanting to create transformation. And then these systems of sort of standardized business that just would quell that all the time. And I noticed that the teams that could really take change and run with it, and the people that could really adapt fast, were often the people that had been a little bit on the edge. They were rebellious. They weren't the people that had stayed the course for 20 years doing the same old, same old. They were people that had broken the mold, that had been adaptive, that had changed, that were maybe not quite exec material, but had the mindset to really create amazing stuff. And as I carried on, I mean, I've been in this for quite a while, I started to notice that the challenges that the big globals and sort of formalized businesses, the things that they were struggling with, in my opinion, was a need for a shift in mindset.
Right.
And if you have always followed the rules, it is not easy to make those shifts. It's in fact very, very difficult. You are so programmed and you are afraid of the results. Whereas if you've never been completely submerged by those rules and you've always bounced in and out of that, or been even completely out of that, it's easier for you to think differently. It's easier for you to be innovative because you haven't been programmed to only look at a problem a certain way. And so I started to call that, and I was very cautious of the term rebel because people are afraid of it, and it has a very negative term for some people.
Yeah.
But more and more, I'm starting to see that if we don't have some strong rebels that are really convinced and passionate about making positive change, I think we've got a problem. And I think we really need to have people that have that passion, that are prepared to make mistakes, that are prepared to, that passion is just so overriding, they will pick up and find another way through, that love their why, that love what they're doing in a way that motivates them beyond just the fact that it's a paycheck. And those qualities are the qualities that, so I would be sort of a very formal business would call me and say, we need everybody to think differently. We need change. And then we would do some work and they say, yeah, but not like that. And no, but not like that. And I remember going in with the group, I actually call it my epic failure. And we went and we worked for 18 months with a leadership team. And the instructions were from a European company, high-level head office. These people must think differently. We need change. Nobody will own the change. And we've got to have people own the change and run with it. And the group got so inspired, but at first they were like, no, you can't hear, you can't say that, you can't say this, you can't do this, you can't do that. And we developed this really strong business case for what they were trying to do and why, and the language, and it was amazing. So motivated, so engaged, this group of middle management that just were ready for anything. And they had to do a presentation to senior management. And the senior management flew over from Europe, and some of them were sitting in, and within 10 minutes, they had been shot down. They hadn't even got to their point. They were saying, well, this is what no, that's not how we do it here. No, we can't have that, blah, blah. They literally stopped it. And we needed to have a big discussion about it. And I remember at the time sitting there and I thought, okay, this is my epic fail. This is when I just suddenly saw it so clearly. It actually excited me because this is why, I'm crazy. I suddenly saw this is what we're dealing with, this language of needing change, needing people to engage, needing people to be innovative, but this headspace of, but this is how it's always been done, therefore this is how you must do it. And that epic fail for me was when I decided I'm going to start naming it more. I need to make a stand more strongly that this is what I stand for, that you're going to need to be uncomfortable. You're going to need to have space for rebellion a little bit. You can't be afraid of that if you really want to survive. And if you want to be sustainable, you've got to do things differently. And part of that means getting uncomfortable and shaking it up a little. So yes, rebel, but a rebel with a cause, we need them. I think we need them globally.
Wow, that is so amazing. Because when you were talking, I remember I worked with a greenfield project and I was supposed to create the right space. So we're given a space on the ground floor like they do for IT all the time. And we had all these amazing quotes on the wall. And one of the directors came and she was like, take this down. Take this. And so I went away for lunch, came back, and most of this, they were all down because this is an ordinary poster and that already offended her, and they want to do change. And this was the same organization where the CEO, this was amazing. The CEO did they had a gathering, how we do these parties, and then we have this amazing speech, and he was talking about how we're going agile and everything. And after he'd said everything, I was feeling all pumped up, ready, thinking, this is it, we're going to do it, and it's a banking sector. So having them talk all that, I was really excited. I was like, wow, I've got the chance. And then his final statement was zero tolerance to failure. Exactly.
I was actually just going to say that as a Scrum Master, that's exactly is so that's why my focus in Agile is very much on mindset. And I consider myself like a practice mentor. So I give people the information, but then it really requires that the key decision makers or the key influencers need to have a practice mentor or an ally or someone that can help them work these challenges, both in their own head as well as externally. Because the decision making is usually at a level that is different from where the Agile practices are being run. And that thing like being able to make mistakes, being able to take a while before you find solutions, being able to sort of do different iterations fast without it all being perfect before you press. That is a mindset that is very challenging. And you need an ally who will stand with you and mentor you through as you're practicing it. No, it's okay. This is how we do it. Stop a moment. Let's relook at what we're trying to achieve here and why. This is what it's doing here. And it's not just a 2-day thing on how do I do this, or a quick course on these are the practices of Agile. It's the mindset change. And that is the bit that I particularly am drawn to. That's what I'm passionate about, because I think that can be the obstacle. And no matter how much you invest in getting everyone in an organization trained in the practices of Scrum and Agile, if you do not have decision makers able to understand that and able to work with that and able to negotiate their own fears of change and their own fear of failure, you will have it. There will be sabotage, even unconsciously. I'm not saying it's a deliberate sabotage. Even Scrum Masters, I often find people working and they get nervous as things, that discomfort before you have a breakthrough is very uncomfortable. You know how to manage that discomfort. And if you're in an organization that has a culture that is so afraid of making mistakes, you're not going to get the results. And I think that's why so much of the kind of negative press that Agile gets is around that inability to do the deeper practice of doing these things. The different things that you do during Scrum will change. They'll come and go. You need to adapt them for your organization. How you run Agile is deeply personal and deeply dependent on your organization and what you're trying to achieve. But the mindset, it doesn't matter how much you spend on that if you don't have the right mindset, in my opinion.
This is amazing. Thank you, because this leads me to the question that is coming to mind. And the reason why I'm asking this question is I worked with a company and the HR. So because mostly they pull me into the IT projects. Go figure, when you have an IT background, they think you know everything IT. So,
and also if you have the word Scrum in your title, they assume it's IT.
It's IT, it's software development, and that's it. So I worked with an organization and the HR guys came and pulled me saying, we want to do Agile as well. So I had just a few sessions, about 15 minutes. They'll just ask questions. And for me, it was amazing. People want to know, how it is with us. You want to share the knowledge, you want to share the love, as I say. And so one thing I said to them was, making mistakes, failure is not a bad thing. And I said, it's the lesson learned from it that is important and not the failure itself. And so they took that and they run with it. So they put it there on the wall. And then they started doing biggest failure of the week. And they would print it and they put it on the wall. They'll write the person's name. I so did this, that. And they started doing their small stand-ups and everything all by themselves. I thought it was amazing. But then they noticed that the senior management will always come there and write the name of whoever made the failure. Yes, and they got so worried. And so they came back to me and was like, we can't do this, bonuses are going to be impacted. And they were really downhearted. And it's these tiny things. And so I was like, oh my God, I've gotten them, I've made problems for this ones. And so we rephrased it to the biggest lesson learned this week, and they were like, okay, we can run with that, and then they run with it. So this brings me to my question: what would you say are the subtle things for someone who maybe is in an organization and they want to take these leaders on a journey, they want to influence these people? What are the subtle tricks or tips you would give that they should use or do? Because if they, like we're saying, if they just go and start doing, I'm a rebel leader and this and that, especially if you're a contractor.
You need to navigate.
Yes.
Part of being, I always also clarify that rebel leadership is an art. So part of being an effective rebel leader is recognizing that it will require that you navigate the edge. You become like an edge worker. You have to have the skills to navigate edge, which includes the ability to communicate and share your ideas. But one of the things in personal practice, I would suggest to that person that they be very deeply anchored in their personal why. What is their not negotiable? What are they trying to achieve no matter what? And to find that language in a way that is aligned with the corporate vision. and the corporate language. And there's processes. You can fine tune that till you just get one word that is perfectly true for you, but also perfectly understandable in the vision of the corporation, the organization. The other thing is then to look for allies, people that you can you can see there's a certain understanding, and start conversations in those directions. So you start to almost constellate with other people that think differently. And you'll be surprised how many there are, because everybody's incognito going, to do that. You need to also be prepared for a lot of failure yourself. You really need to practice what you preach. You need to be able to be agile in your own mindset, so that as you come up against one obstacle, you can dance around that in a different way and keep reintroducing the concept in different ways. So a lot of it is taking the practice and deepening it into a personal, intentional way of being in business. And recognizing, depending on your organization, it will take more or less time. And sometimes you have to be consistent in that same way in Agile, when you're trying to kind of get to, you're just trying to work through to a specific nuance. You need to do that same thing. So that it's hard for me to give like a one-size-fits-all answer, because I work very much in a sort of personalized way. But I think that a lot of that is being able to be that in yourself, and then to start small and to start practicing. I've had a lot of instances where I've had teams, small teams, sometimes even I like the number 5, because 5 is very transformative. When you have 5 people working together, you can't get stuck. Like a 4, you can get stuck. But when there's 5 of you, there's always someone who's going to break them all, so it keeps it alive.
Right.
And you find those, and I find that when people do that and they start to work together a little bit like that, it sparks an energy that becomes quite interesting and intriguing and magnetic. And then when you have the language very clear and you manage to translate what you're doing in conventional business language, people feel safe. It's okay, this is not going to blow everything up. This is actually quite safe. And not that you're trying to make everything safe, but people need to know that they're not. Agile is a way of dealing with risk. Everybody is high level risk averse at the moment because they just don't want any more change.
Right.
So you need to understand people very well. You need to be prepared to put the people work in. It's not just about get the system in and run with it. The people work is 9/10 of the work. Get that all on board, get everybody involved, get everyone understood, be very transparent, explain your why all the time. There's lots of little things, but you need to understand that it's consistent small practices will make more difference in the long run than one glorious change process that falls flat 2 weeks later.
That, I think for me, the biggest thing to take there is the consistent small practices. And I think at times one overlooks that and is just focused on the big bang.
Yeah, you want to bring in the whole process and put it out there and launch it.
Yeah, that is amazing. I think I'm being a bit selfish here, just asking you all the questions. So I need to actually open the floor for others as well, because I'm sure that everyone is enjoying this as much as I am, and we have a lot of interesting questions. So those online, anybody that has a question, kindly just say your name and then ask the question, and then we'll take it from there.
Don't all shout at once.
Can I unmute and just ask, or must I write it in the chat?
Go ahead and ask, Mandy.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Mandy. I would like to ask Lesanne, are there examples that you could just give, just a brief one, of where an organization was perhaps very resistant and yet the manager managed to make these small little changes which did have impact? Is there any examples that you could think of?
Thank you, Mandy. That's an amazing.
Thank you. Quite a few, and I'm just trying to think without going into too much detail. One of them that just comes to mind immediately is an engineering firm that was very supportive of change. It had a lot of traditional management styles at senior level.
Sorry to cut you. Is it Robert? Can you go on mute, please? Your mic is not on mute, so we can hear the conversation in your background. Please, Robert, if you don't mind going on mute. I'm not sure Robert can hear us.
Maybe Robert's on the phone.
Sorry about that,
Can you
man.
hear me if I carry on talking? Shall I just carry on or shall I wait?
I think we should try, or could the host mute everyone for now, please? If that's possible.
Okay.
If not, let's be agile about it and try.
Yeah, we can roll.
Yes, if the host mute everyone.
No, Robert's still talking.
Robert's still talking.
I'm interested in you now, Robert. I want to know who you are. I'd love to see you. Hi. Sorry, I don't mean to make you feel embarrassed. Yeah, no, so just one that comes to mind is, so this woman was in an engineering company, and she wanted to take her team agile. And it seemed they were very progressive, but it seemed that some of what she wanted to do was quite out there. So she worked on her aspirational 5-year plan. And we kind of played with what was the most aspirational aspect and what she could do now. And we worked with very much about clarifying people, like understanding the people in a team, getting very clear about roles, being very transparent about what they were doing and how, et cetera, et cetera. And interestingly, she was promoted very much quicker than she expected. And then the shift happened when she was made into a senior manager, which came much quicker than she'd anticipated. It had actually been part of her 5-year plan, but it was within 2 years. But when we had lockdown in February, I got a message from her. And funny enough, I actually got this message from quite a few people that I'd coached. But she said, I can't believe how I'm shining. And her team was the only team that hit lockdown and carried on running. Their productivity continued. They did so well. And everybody else was in the organization, the teams were struggling. And the managers were saying to her, but like, how do you know what your team's doing? Like, what's going on? How do you do this? And that's when she said she suddenly realized how those simple practices of communicating and understanding role clarity, et cetera, had made her so agile for lockdown that there were other senior managers that didn't even know who the people were on their team. So if they're not seeing them in their desks, they didn't know what they did or who they were or what their roles were. So they were struggling to maintain momentum. So I don't know if that answers the question, but that's an example I can think of small practices within a team that made a very, very big difference.
Yeah, thank you for that, Lesanne. Mandy says, yes. So Mandy has been giving us some amazing comments as well, which I'm just going to read. The first one, she said, this is one exciting, relevant woman. Whoop, whoop, I agree. Yes, the difference between the terminology and the practice, a wide ocean of difference. True, Mandy. And then she said, I love that the ROI case for doing things differently is now so self-evident. It used to be such a hard case to sell.
Very true. Return on investment was the first question. When you're dealing with people, they're like, yeah, but what's the return on investment? But now it is very evident.
And then she also said companies pay lip service to saying they want change or innovation, etc., but often they really want to stay more or less the same. How do you change the dinosaur?
Give it wings, turn it into a dragon. Yeah, do I need to answer that? I don't, I think that's the process we're in, is putting in, keeping agile, lots and lots of small practices. And I do think key influencers need a lot of personal practice now. I think that just assuming that because we have deep experience, we know what's going on. I think that's the gift actually of this year. The disruption that we've experienced this year has shown us that no matter how experienced you are, it doesn't necessarily mean you know what to do. And being able to be comfortable with that not knowing and navigate that in a centered, autonomous, accountable way, that's the practice. And I think that actually senior people need quite a lot of support, because it is very nerve-wracking to be that accountable and that responsible and actually not really feel 100% certain about where you're going, or think, okay, I'll just carry on as normal, and just find it's becoming less and less effective and more wheels are falling off. I think there's a lot of support required there.
True. I agree with that. Thank you, Mandy. Any questions from anyone else? Any more questions?
Please don't be shy.
Or should I ask a question? Because I have one burning in my head, but I just wanted to give everyone a chance. Whilst waiting, when you were saying everything, I just kept thinking of fear, because I feel like fear is one of the biggest things that impedes this. How should we deal with that? Because one thing I think, when I started my journey as a Scrum Master, now I feel like saying many months ago, it took a while for me to realize that it was fear that was stopping the process for most people. And also, you always, so it's like all the time I'm sort of fishing to know what exactly it is, and that. So in your opinion, especially when you're talking about leadership at that level, how does one deal with this level of fear?
Well, I think you're absolutely spot on about fear being one of the main obstacles here. And I think it's at all levels. Fear of making a mistake, fear of being wrong, fear of having to explain yourself when you just were following something that felt right.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very difficult. And I think that one of the things that we need to work with in ourselves, in our personal practices, because I believe that leadership is personal practice. It's not just a position that you go and do. I think it's personal practice, and you need to constantly be growing and learning and keeping yourself curious. And one of the personal work for me around fear is complexity is so overwhelming, and we are dealing with increasing complexity and uncertainty. So to be able to still all the stories and the voices is a deep practice. But also for me, that is about starting. I work very strongly with people to remember what it was that started you off doing this. Remember that original calling that made you think that this kind of change would be a good idea. What was that? Let's go back to that. Why did you want to do that? What was the reasoning? What was it that made you invest this time and energy into doing this? Let's just remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something stilling or calming in reminding yourself of your original why, your original impulse towards action.
Mm-hmm.
And I encourage you, when you're in fear, to go back to your base and remind, this is why I'm doing this. Okay, now let me look around. What can I do next? Even if it's a small step that steps into that a little more. And I say to people, when you're in big fear, don't make rash decisions. Like, rather don't move. Just don't go back. The fear thing, if it pushes you back, that's when you lose, because you'll just start reinventing the wheel. The minute you step back from something you're afraid of, you will give yourself a language for why you're doing it. You will have a good argument for why, and you maybe restory it, do the same old, perhaps using good language, but same old, same old.
Mm-hmm.
So with fear, you need to stop.
Right.
Be still.
Mm-hmm.
And wait until you know what your next step is. You don't have to know the full answer. You don't have to see the path.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you don't. We are in uncharted territory. We don't know how it's going to work out. We have not been here before.
Mm-hmm.
So stop, remind yourself of why you're doing it, and find that confidence. And often when you go back to your original thing and you start to restore your motivation for yourself, you suddenly go, oh, but of course, that's what I'm doing. Yeah, no, then I mustn't do this. I'll do that instead.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know it's not a cure-all, but it's a simple practice of stop. When I'm in fear, when things are too complex, just stop.
Yeah.
Go back to my why, remind myself of what I'm doing with that. And that's why we need allies. Because if there are 5 of you, one might be in fear while the other one is in super confidence, and you can help each other out.
Right.
But also someone who can say, but remember, this is what you're trying to do. This is just the disruption you were expecting. You knew there would be a backlash. This is that. Keep going. The more backlash you're getting, the more close we're getting. And I've got a lot of models like to show that discomfort, the more intense the discomfort is, the closer you are to breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
And yet that is usually when a lot of people, give up. They go and they reach, oh, this consultant's not working. Let's get in another one.
Mm-hmm.
That discomfort gets so uncomfortable. And if you can just be still in that discomfort, you don't have to move forward. Just be still and hold it. You can get through. And I've seen a lot of examples of that. It's just don't give up. Don't give up when it feels really scary.
That is so amazing. That is so amazing. Just thinking of not giving up, because and I don't understand why. Sometimes I even ask, why is it that when you're closest, that's when it gets so hard? I guess, and that's why I feel like every transformation you become a part of, you learn something new about yourself as well.
Definitely.
So,
Mm.
so
I
because
think I'm in this for me, you know, because it is. It's a constant journey of knowing yourself more.
yeah, that is so
Sorry,
true.
I interrupted you. Carry on.
No,
What
no,
you
no.
saying?
You go. I interrupt people a lot as well. I'm only quiet because I'm
It's
learning so much
excitement.
here. The Akaditi guys wanted to play a video. Guys, are you ready for us? Although we're still online, we still have sometimes a bit of a slow thingy to get.
Yeah, it takes a while. That's okay.
It's
Someone is connecting.
Is it?
I thought someone was doing something, but
I thought so too.
you know what? If maybe while we just wait, if they want that discomfort, I always liken it to when you change a habitual behavior or you give up some sort of addiction.
Mhm,
And one of the things that often gets people laughing is when I say if you give up cigarettes.
mhm.
And then, you know, you go through this whole change cycle of your loss for your cigarette and you're grieving, and then can I really do this? And I'm not sure if I can. And then you get that edgy thing that smokers get. I'm not a smoker, but I've watched it in people. And you get that edgy thing, you know.
Mhm,
And that's when most people say, oh, I'm going to go and have a cigarette now.
mhm.
But if you can go through that edgy discomfort and not have the cigarette, you've made a breakthrough.
Right.
And so if you can think of it, anything that is, you have a habitual behavior around, when you start to break that habit thoroughly is when it gets very, very uncomfortable.
Mhm,
And that is what change does to us.
mhm.
And that is why we keep recycling and same old, because we'd rather just restory what we've done before so we can pretend we've made a change, because then we don't have to go through that discomfort.
That is so spot on. I remember there was a group I worked with, and it was just, you know, there was just before the breakthrough, there was just so many complaints. And when we did a retrospective, I said, when you have a seed, that's your idea, you put it in the soil, it has to rot first before the leaves start sprouting out. Without that seed getting rotten in the soil, you cannot have a beautiful flower. So what we're
Right.
doing now is our rot stage. We're all getting rotten, and anything that gets rotten is not pleasant.
Yeah,
And they were like,
that's a lovely analogy.
they were
Can
like,
I use it?
you go ahead, you use it
Thank you.
anytime. And I think that was what I used to calm the storm a little bit, because they were, you know, when they get so excited and then all of a sudden all the cracks are showing and they're like, I can't do this anymore, and they want to go back to the old ways, and you having to find a way to get the momentum going and everything. So yeah.
But you know, there's a very sound business argument for that as well, which usually strikes a chord, is that it is hugely expensive for an organization to invest in change. And I'm talking now years ago when change took a lot longer, I noticed a pattern. It was one of the things that started to make me want to do more meaningful change and really go into transformative change, was that companies would like hire a change management consultancy. The change would start, they'd do the launch, they'd have an amazing time. Sort of a year or so into it, everybody's getting uncomfortable. It's not the same as it used to be. So quite often they would drop that change, hire another company, do another big launch, another big investment, et cetera, et cetera. And when I would bring that up and I'd say, how many companies have you hired to take you through change? And there'd be this sort of sheepish, yeah, and I'd say, well, it's because you're not being brave enough to go through the discomfort.
Right.
You have to do that discomfort phase. And that's when your investment really starts paying off. And when you start, if you are able to recognize this is going to happen, I warn people halfway through, you're going to feel like this is the worst thing you've done. Stick with that. Notice that that's just your halfway stage, and give it that time to go right through. And I really do believe that's the truth. I know it's the truth. I see it happening all the time.
I totally agree. But I'm not seeing our guys coming up with
Akadichi is online. I don't know if are you there?
I don't know. Hello, testing. We've got another comment here from Dudu. She said, what an empowering session this is. It's a pity I can't stay for the rest of the session. Looking forward to the recording if available. Yes, the recording is going to be on the Akaditi YouTube page. So you'll be able to see it there. We're on all different social media platforms. Since we've got 4 minutes, Lesanne, amazing topic. Where can one actually get your material? How can one contact you? If someone thinks I want to be a rebel leader, where can they reach you?
Be a rebel leader. Well, all my work goes through dialogue, communications training, and they are on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn as well as Lesanne Brooke. They're on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. They are on Facebook as Dialogue RSA, which stands for Republic of South Africa, or they are on LinkedIn as Dialogue South Africa. So it's dialogue like talking, Dialogue South Africa. And I can put up do you want me to give you the website or details, or should I just put those in the chat?
Just read it out once and then put it in the chat.
Okay, well, their website is dialoguesa.co.za.
Okay.
And you can get them on Facebook at Dialogue RSA.
Okay, that is
okay.
Awesome. And we have Agile in Africa coming up from the 21st to the 23rd of October. I believe every day is between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. That is powered by Akaditi. Akaditi, you guys are doing an amazing thing in Africa. We have an amazing Scrum studio in Ghana as well. So if you're looking anything Agile Scrum, you're looking for amazing consultants, Akaditi is your place to go. Website www.akaditi.com. I believe it's correct. Old age may be catching up. You can reach them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn, of course. And we know you're going to be talking at the next Agile in Africa conference. Awesome. So guys, join it. You don't want to miss Lesanne in the next Agile in Africa conference, because you would miss out on something amazing. I can see someone by the name of Nana Bambara Aban himself coming on. Nana, I'm going to put you on pause here for a minute because I think the Akaditi guys are ready to do a video. Akaditi team, are you ready now? You've got 2 minutes. If not,
Yeah, we are ready.
Okay, go on then, please, guys. Whilst waiting, Lesanne's details is in the chat for anyone that wants to reach out to her. Akaditi, take 2. We have 1 minute. Hurry up, Akaditi. Oh dear me, Akaditi, I can see everything.
Your panties are showing.
Sadly, it is. And it's not Victoria's Secrets. Calm down, Nana, calm down. I can see you on video. Okay, should we maybe, Nana, did you still want to say something quickly? Can you say minutes?
Yes, I do.
Go on.
Yes, I can, yeah. Lesanne,
Yes.
hi.
Hi, Nana.
I'm very glad that we're able to do. I was very glad that you're able to do the interview. I actually insisted that they get in touch with you to get you onto this show, because your material that you presented at Agile is amazing. And I like your take in terms of the rebel leader, because I am a rebel leader. So immediately I take to that very easily. And I just wanted to say that I'm really, really looking forward to you joining more of these sessions and sharing your ideas with more people. So I'm really excited about having you on this program. And Loiusa, really also very excited about your interview and how you've gone about it. It's just been incredible. You guys are just simply amazing. So thank you very much. Lesanne, so we'll be coming back to yourself and Mandy. We'll be coming back to you guys, because I think you guys are simply amazing, and we need to put you in front of more executives in Ghana. and in Africa and around the world. We need to put you in front of more executives and managers so that they can get their head screwed back on properly.
No, thank you. I can see you're an agile rebel leader there, the way you're driving while you're talking.
I'm
Thank
telling
you for the opportunity.
It's crazy out here. You know, it's like I don't use a driver anymore because since I went on my special program and I've got so much energy, I don't even need a driver. So it's all
Well, there you
personal
go.
agility, personal transformation, 30 kg gone. And it's just amazing. We can link all that personal agility with all the stuff you're doing. And I really do think that we need to take Agile, not just at an organizational level, but also apply it to your personal life.
There you go. Awesome.
Absolutely.
That's all from me. That's all from me.
Thank you, Nana.
And it's been great. I've listened to the whole show. Loiusa, you're just amazing, as always, incredible. And you're looking great, as always. And Lesanne, you're looking amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Also,
Thanks, Nana.
So
love you guys, man.
So I think, thank you so much,
Oh.
Nana. So that was Nana Bambara Abbott. I love to say his full name because the Africanness in the name does it for me. So that's the PO of Akaditi, the CEO, the man himself with all the ideas. The Akaditi team now, I believe, are ready for us. So Akaditi guys, over. I believe you can press play, guys. We're ready for you. Sound, please.
Loiusa,
Yeah.
I think you should just kill the video. I think we've had a great show. We can show the video another time. I think we've had a great show, and we can always send the video link to everybody on the you know, in the talk. So
Okay.
personally, yeah, I think we should just basically close.
Okay, so that's fine. Thank you very much, Nana. Apologies first, guys. It looks like the video didn't enter the matrix the way it ought to. So as you can see, Morpheus himself says we should kill the video. By the way, that's Nana's name on the side.
I'm having a bad internet.
Okay, so that's fine, no worries. Thank you guys for the attempt. So what they were just trying to tell us is this amazing Agile in Africa conference coming up from the 21st to the 23rd of October. That's next week, actually. Don't miss out, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. They've got so many amazing speakers. Come listen to Lesanne as well, talk about this amazing rebel leadership. You would see a lot of rebel leaders there. To a certain extent, I think we all enjoy being rebels one way or the other. I shouldn't be saying that, but hey.
So, I think it's true. I think everyone's got a secret rebel wanting to come out.
Yes.
Loiusa, you are a rebel. Let's just leave it there.
There you go. I'm not going to
say so secret.
I'm not going to say anything more than that. I actually take it as a compliment. I remember being in a meeting with a program not too long ago, and a guy looked at me and he said, "Can I tell you something, Loiusa?" And I said, "What?" "Don't ever do politics." I laughed so much. It's like, because you say it's like it is, just like that. I don't think you should go into politics. I don't think you would succeed there. Maybe that's why I'm stuck with Agile.
Maybe we need politics.
Maybe that's the kind of politics we need, or politicians we need.
Maybe that would help Africa a lot, but hey, I'm not going to go there. We've got barely 5 minutes, so Lesanne, thank you so much. It's been amazing talking to you. It's been amazing learning from you. It's just been amazing, you know. It's like, wow, you're such a super amazing woman. It's such an amazing pleasure. So I will just leave the final words to you to say to all of us.
Loiusa, thank you so much for interviewing me. It was lovely to meet you. I think Nana's having a crash. No, please don't. It was wonderful to meet you, and thank you for being such a warm interview. It's been lovely to chat. I feel like we could just talk for ages. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lesanne, and thank you everybody for making this time with us. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. We look forward to seeing you next time. Like I said,
thanks Akadici too for organizing this. It's been amazing.
Yes, the Akaditi ladies that I work with in the events team, they're just super. So thank you, Akaditi guys. You're always the best. I know they've got so many conferences coming up and they're just rolling one after the other. You are the best. Agility at its best in Africa. Like I said again, anything to do with Agile, Scrum, training, consulting, transformation, contact the Akaditi guys. Lesanne's details is there as well. You can reach her on LinkedIn. If you go to the dialoguesa.co.za website, you can contact her as well. Thank you, everyone. Have an amazing Friday. You stay safe. Lesanne, do stay in touch and have a lovely weekend. Okay.
You too. Thanks, Loiusa. Thanks, Nana. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Louisa.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Love you all to bits.
You too, Nana.
Likewise.
Bye. I'm gonna drop off. Thanks, Lesanne.
Bye. Lovely to meet you, Loiusa. Give London.
I will do. Thank you. Ciao, ciao, everyone.